Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Kenny Carson Coffee. If you're a car guy, you're in the right place. We've got really exciting subjects today. As you know, what I talk about come from the questions that you send in through the Speed Therapy Society. So if you're not a member, please join and have your friends join, because I talk about what you want to learn about. And today's subjects, I'm going to talk about the technical aspects of the right gear in the corner, adjusting sway bars for different track conditions. I have a reveal of our something special for the S550 cars. And then, of course, we have our quick hitters, which actually aren't really quick today because that turned into the entire subject matter of the episode. And the artwork this month is Jimmy Clark at Indianapolis 500 in '65. And those who've been with us for a while know that I'm Scottish, and he was one of my boyhood heroes, and pretty much responsible for the career path I took. I was fortunate enough to see him win the U.S. Grand Prix at Watkins Glen a very long time ago, which was an incredible experience. So we got in honor of the Indy 500 that ran in sort of May and August. We have that up for this month. And also, I got to say a big shout out to Dave Robinson. He posted a Goodwood video of one of the Lotus Indy cars at Goodwood. And the reason I know it was an Indy car is because if you look here, the control arms on the outside are longer than the inside. Colin Chapman was a pretty crafty guy, and he actually moved the driver and the whole car off center to the inside to help in cornering, making left-hand corners. So that's our artwork for the month. And moving down, see if you're just joining us. This is Kenny Brown. This is Cars and Coffee, and I will share my extensive experience from professional motorsports and building great cars, and answering the questions you send in through the Speed Therapy Society. And also, we have some questions from Steve Calistini, who's part of the Speed Therapy Academy, which is it's really turning out to be great. You guys are learning an immense amount of information that you can't find anywhere else. As far as and I got to go through my notes here. Make sure I don't miss anything, which I'm really good at missing things. Okay, tac, sway bar adjustment. Why don't we do that real quick? Steve Calistini had two questions. The science behind determining the ideal gear for a particular corner, as to downshift to a lower gear, knowing that upshift will immediately follow, or stay in a higher gear and torque through the corner. Okay, the first and most important thing is you never ever want to shift in the middle of a corner. What happens is it's called trailing throttle oversteer. You're managing weight when you're driving. Braking, you're putting weight to the front. Accelerating, you're putting weight to the rear. Well, if you're accelerating in a corner and you go to shift, you've got the weight of the back wheels, and just the instant you take you put the clutch in, you take the weight off the back, boom, the back of the car gets loose and you'll spin out. I can give you a really good example. We were testing, I think, 2010 at VIR with one of the drivers for the in the Speedworks FR500 S cars for the Mustang Challenge, and we got heard on the radio that he crashed in the Snake. Snake is kind of a cool part. It's kind of like one of these big windy things, and if you got a car that's really set up, you can fly through there. My cars, I just go through there, and it's just an amazing experience just flying through this little S's thing. Anyway. He backed himself into the wall, and in the debrief, we're trying to figure out just what happened. Nothing obviously broke on the car, and he said he was going through, and he was in the middle of the corner, and he shifted. Well, shifting in the middle of the corner, trailing throttle oversteer. And then we told him, I said, look, you can't shift in the middle of the corner, or you crash like you just did. And he had come from the Ford Performance driving school in Utah. And he said, the first comment was, well, they never taught me that in driving school. Whether they did or not, it doesn't matter. You just don't shift in the middle of a corner. As far as what gear, okay, I'll use the Coyote engines, for example, and they make peak horsepower around 7,000, and they make peak torque at around 4,600. You always want to keep the RPMs between 4,600 and 7,000. If you're going through a corner and you're revved up and you have to shift as soon as you get out of the corner, you're one gear too low. When I teach people, it's like as they go through a progression, and they'll, you're always using lower gears when you first start driving, and as they get a little more track experience, they're still in lower gears, and you can just tell they're just winding the car up on the exit of the corner. And I said, okay, what you're going to do, you're going to move everything up a gear, and when they do, they're surprised that they actually are faster. They carry more speed. So the key is if rather than going to a lower gear, if you're above 4,600 in torque, you want to use that higher gear. The car's just going to react better, and you don't have to make that shift. If you shift too fast, like I say, you get trailing throttle oversteer. The other thing about gearing, when we like this for race cars, a little diversion. When we gear race cars, because we have, we can change the gears of transmission, change the gears of the rear end. We always gear the car for the best acceleration after the corner, and we also set the car up for the corner right before the longest straightaway. That exit speed on that corner is super important because that gives you straightaway speed. So I know with the track day cars, you have to take what you get. But in Ruby, my 2012 track car, pretty much always drove the third and fourth. Which is pretty easy. I mean, the motor had such range. Third and fourth is all I ever used, and if you use second, you're gear too low. So always keep the gear up a gear rather than down a gear for a corner, as long as you're above 4,600 RPM. Because a lot of times when you shift, you're going to be like 5,200. That's really good because you're in the peak torque. So that's my little tip on what gear to be in. It's whatever gear doesn't hit the rev limiter on the way out and is above 4,600. Or other cars, you have to look and see what your torque and peak horsepower is. Okay, Steve also wanted to know, his question is adjusting a sway bar for different track conditions and car handling. That's a good question, and I have an extremely good answer. You don't. You don't adjust the sway bar. What you want to do is you want to make sure your sway bar is, when the car is down, loaded, fully laden, you want to make sure the sway bar has zero preload. And the reason for that, if the sway bar gets preloaded, then you're likely to lock a wheel under braking. So you want to have zero preload on the car. And that's what I mean by zero preload is that you can take one of the sway bar end links and just push it in and out with no effort. So zero preload. The only change from that is if it's wet. If it's a rainy day, and most track guys don't drive in the rain, but if you're racing in the rain, you disconnect the sway bar. You just disconnect your sway bar and actually take quite a bit of shock out to soften up the car, so you get better grip. So there's a couple of tips. Also, Steve asked about corner weighting. If you're going to corner weight the car, you disconnect the sway bars. And think about corner weighting for like the newer Mustangs. You can do it. It's a lot of work for not a lot of benefit, unless it's like really far off. With race cars, when you're looking for like tenths and hundredths of a second, you want that car to be totally balanced, which is why you do all the corner weights. But Mustangs are big and heavy, and they're not really race cars; they're great track cars. So you can corner weight, and if you're going to corner weight, first thing I do when I corner weight a car is I want both of those tire front wheels to be as close as possible. Now that's with a driver and half a tank of gas, because if you got a light tire, if you got one side that's lighter than the other, under hard braking, you have a chance to lock up. Of course, with ABS cars, that really doesn't happen. But if you don't have ABS, you will lock up the light tire. And a good example of that, if you watch Formula One, where they're really flying, going into a corner, if they lock a tire, which tire they lock? They lock the front tire on the inside because that's the lightest one. So you don't want to adjust your sway bars. And in corner weighting, you can do it. For the newer Mustangs, you can do it. It's just not going to be a lot of benefit unless your front is way off. If it's way off, then it's worth doing. When I did the Speedworks cars, their background was Indy Lights and Indy cars. So every time the car came off track, they rolled it onto the setup pad, which is what you do with Indy cars. But I told them, Mustangs, they got, these big funky things, and it really doesn't matter. Once you get the car set up, it's pretty much good for the weekend. So we kind of saved our mechanics a lot of time by just doing one setup before we went to the track. So that's sway bars. And I think, who's this? I mean, somebody, I think Rich O'Mara wanted to know about sway bar end links. Well, I would show you one of our sway bar end links, but we actually sold out this week. We're waiting for, we got the tubes waiting for more ends to come in. We've got adjustable sway bar end links for the S197 and 550s, and we don't use like a rod, like a rod end like some people. We use actually an OE type end, so there's no noise and there's great longevity. You don't have to worry about it. It's a really nice setup. Like I said, we've done it for 550s and S197s. So we get some more ends in. I'll show them again. I showed them a couple of weeks ago, but I'll pull them out and show them again. Sway bar, different track conditions, turning right gear. Go back to my notes. Dave Robinson, thank you for the video. So yeah, I can't do that when I'm looking for things in my notes. Either that or Carrie comes up and tells me I did something wrong. Ideal gear, quick hitter. Oh, a reveal. We've kind of postponed doing the jacking rails for the 550 cars because we had to make time within our manufacturing system. But here's the deal. Cars and Coffee's on House and Coffee. Like for S95, for Fox cars, S197s, there's a very flat surface at the pinch weld. It's really simple to get. We got a square tube and that we just weld on there, and it works like a champ. Well, the problem with the 550 cars is if you go to do that same thing, the bar gets angled because where you would bolt front and rear is 5-degree incline versus parallel.
Move this way a little bit because your hand's out of the.
Okay, some hands out of the picture. So if you just put a bar up, it's going to be at an angle because of the 5-degree incline. And I think some people put a bar on, they weld something on the end, but most of them are just like tube steel with either the wrong way or with something welded. So we come up with solutions. We don't sell parts. We offer you solutions, and this is our solution for the 550 jacking rail. It's not a tube. We actually are going to fabricate the jacking rails, and here's kind of a short sample. I didn't want to bring a whole great big long one up, but as you can see, there's a place for sockets, a place for the bolts. Now here's the cool part. If you take a look at that, it's not a tube. It's fabricated. We're going to do a fabricated jacking rail, and we see we've got the 5-degree. Actually, we'll go like this. We've got our 5-degree incline at the top, so at the bottom it's totally flush and straight across the great big surface to jack onto. So I mean that's kind of cool. We like I say, we had to wait till we had production time or R&D time to work on this, but now that we did, this will be coming out pretty soon. But I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a great solution to a little bit of a problem. And Carrie's coming up. I did something wrong.
Oh no, I just thought, why if somebody's interested in it, why don't they put their name or a private message us so we can get them on a wait list for it?
Oh yeah, Carrie said if you're interested, send your name in and we'll get you on a wait list because we haven't got the whole thing fabricated yet. I did some samples up. So if you're interested, get on a wait list. We don't have any pricing yet, but we should have. I think we should have that within a week or so.
Yeah, the product will be out in about less than a month.
It'll be out in less than a month because we've got to go through the whole fabrication thing and then get them coated. But we always coat anything that goes under the car like this. I don't use powder coat like some people, and we definitely don't use spray can paint. We zinc plate everything, which zinc is a really good rust deterrent. So all of our chassis pieces, the double cross subframe connectors for the Fox SN95, jacking rails for Fox SN95 and S197, all those are zinc plated for longevity. Plus, they look pretty cool. So moving right along, let's see, we meet, okay, signs behind the gear, sway bar, show and tell, 550. Okay, let's move into the questions. Also, if you've got questions, send them in. If I got time at the end, I'll try to answer your questions. It doesn't matter what as long as it's about a car. I know a little bit about cars. So we did the corner weights Tim Tomasak is struggling with his MT82 transmission, and is it must be an S197, I'm guessing. I don't know what year.
Yeah, I think it's a later model, like a 12.
Yeah, Kerry thinks it's like a newer, like a 12, 13.
It's
It's a boss. Okay, that answers that question. He's anybody should try to go on track with a stock transmission is know what the challenges are, and part of what happens with the factory shifter is part of the transmission is mounted on the transmission, and the other part is mounted on the tunnel of the car, which means when you got your foot down, that engine's like at full torque, and the body's not at full torque. So when you go to shift, it's kind of like misaligned. It's almost like a bind. I mean, you can shift slowly, like you're driving on the highway. But when you really want to bang gears, it gets a little challenging. And we have a shifter solution that we use that mounts the entire shifter to the transmission, and it works pretty good. I mean, it's like click, click, click. It's really solid. So he did that with an MGW and then a blowfish bracket, but he's still having some challenges. And he's thinking like the clutch might be the next thing. And he also talks about maybe doing doing a standalone reservoir for the clutch along with stainless steel line. I'd recommend that. I don't know that we don't have that in our system. We can check into that. I'll have to check and see if any of our suppliers offer that, but that is a good update. As far as a clutch, I mean, if you want a totally awesome clutch, we have it's a racing clutch, so to speak. It's something new from our clutch supplier. It's a two-piece racing clutch. It's lighter, and the pedal pressure is almost like that of a stock clutch. So I mean, it's a super heavy-duty clutch. It's good for I think something like 1,000 pounds of torque or 1,400. It'll take a lot. And Center Force did a really good job on coming up with this. So we've got a couple on cars, and everybody loves them. I mean, it's a premium clutch, but if you're looking for something really, really good, I mean, it's a great package, and we do have that on the website. As far as the clutch replacement, also thinking about a Tremec XL. Man, that is the transmission to have. I thought with shifting Ruby for a long time, just said screw it. We took the stock transmission out and put a Magnum XL in there, and it's like night and day. I mean, because the shifter is part of the transmission, and it just shifts so well. Joe Johnson, who we installed one on his car, his comment is it shifts like butter. It's pretty smooth. It's a great upgrade. Certainly not. It's not super expensive, but it's not inexpensive either. So that's the way to go. If you want to eventually just make it really good. Plus, if you do the Tremec 6-speed, there's two different ones. You want to get the road race one, and the road race one has a 297 first gear. Most importantly, has a 0.8 fifth gear. The stock transmissions, for like OE cars, have like a 0.6 fifth gear and a point, maybe 0.6 or 7, something like that, and then a 6 for 6 gear, which is totally for cruising and fuel economy. But you want a 0.8 because there's some tracks like Road America where you're running out of RPMs. You're not the end of the straightaway. You hit fifth gear and the car keeps pulling. When we're back in racing my Fox car with the original T5s, I'd be cooking down the straightaway in its fourth gear and hitting the rev limiter, shift to fifth, and the car just goes, ugh. And not enough gear to pull it. It slows down. So, I mean, the Magnum XL is a great choice for Coyote cars. Now, Rich O'Mara had a couple more questions. He wanted to know about, I mentioned locking down the IRS. Now, that's in the 550 cars, and we just installed the last set of pieces we have for that. Maybe in another week or so, I'll show them. But basically what I mean is there's the whole IRS carrier is mounted in rubber, soft rubber. And they do that for NVH, noise, vibration, harshness. They want that to be really isolated. But when they do that, the whole thing moves. I mean, if there's like pictures on the internet showing how much that whole rear end IRS moves around, which also is a contributor to wheel hop. What we do is we got a kit, and it's on our website. It's a series of little rings, aluminum rings, that actually sit inside the rubber bushings, and they turn a rubber bushing into more of a solid bushing, but we still retain the rubber, so there is some NVH, but we just keep the whole thing from moving around by kind of locking it down. It's moving by locking it down, and it's pretty slick. I mean, it's any 550 car should be doing that, because like that's a big source of wheel hop in the back. And then he also goes on, Rich also goes on, wondering about a Tremec transmission discussion, shifting like butter. Well, I told you about the shifting like butter. He said, I have a T56 6-speed out of a Cobra for my Fox body. I was wondering if he should consider a road race trans because of the weight and reliability instead. Well, the 6-speed, I'm not sure which one that is. You have to see what the gears are, because there's the number ones, the T56, and then there's like a whole series after that. But in the Fox body, he's wondering about weight for road racing. Well, I've got a pretty good solution for the Fox body. I'm actually helping. I'm consulting one of our customers in California. He's building an S197 NASA AIX car, and instead of using the Coyote like everybody else, we're putting in all aluminum 351 Windsor that's stroked out to 408, I think. With this fully tricked out dry sump, which will make a lot of power. And you look at that Windsor inside S197 engine bay, it's like, where's the engine? But by going to all aluminum, it's a smaller package. We're going to shift some weight from the front to the back of the car. Plus, it's going to make buckets of torque. It's going to make a lot of torque. And like I say, horsepower sells engines, torque wins races. Because torque is what really pulls you up the corner. So it's going to be a pretty cool package. Now, what I did for David is, rather than, because we're looking for save weight, that's why I went to the Windsor, the all aluminum Windsor. To save weight, instead of using the T56 or the Magnum XL, which is a pretty big and pretty heavy transmission, I had a Tremec TKO 600 modified just specifically for road racing. Now, the TKO 600, it's a great transmission. It's sort of designed for the Windsor cars. It fits in the Windsor cars better than the S550 cars and our S197s. But the thing about the TKO 600 is when you get around 6,500, if you're really hammering, it shifts really hard. And the reason for that is the synchros just can't keep up. So for road racing, we have a company that throws the synchros away, and they do face plating, which is it's like a racing transmission, which means you can shift at any RPMs, 6,000-7,000 RPMs, no problem. So that's something we're doing. It's lighter than the T50 or than the Magnum XL. And again, there's a road race version. Like everything else, there's a street version, a road race version. Road race version has a 0.8 fifth gear. And they're pretty close ratio. So it might be something worth considering. I don't know how many RPM that you're turning in your Fox, but if you're above 6,400, let's say, you might want to consider, having it set up for road racing, which we do. And it turns out pretty good. It's kind of a lightweight solution that's actually a racing gearbox by the time we get done with it. And Carrie, standing up, I forgot something.
It's a T56, can you fit in an S550?
A T56? Yeah, T50. The Magnum XL will fit the 550 that was one of our questions. Like a glove. It fits the SN95 and it fits the 550. It's pretty much designed for those cars. The thing about putting the TKO 600 into an S197 is the shifter actually comes up like under the dash because it's shorter transmission. So we actually have to build an extension for the shifter so David can shift, put the shifter all the way back. But yeah, no, Magnum XL 550s, S197s, fabulous transmission. I highly recommend it. I've used it. It's great. So let's see, it's Rich's. Anything else from Rich? I think that's all his questions. We think we got through Tim Tomasak. Do we have any more additional questions coming in?
Not right now. Right now, that was the one.
Okay, so, one question. If you got any more questions, send your questions in. There's Terry with her signs. In case you're just joining us, I always forget this part. In case you're just joining us, I'm Kenny Brown, and this is Cars and Coffee. Where I'll spend an hour answering your questions and sharing my extensive experience in professional motorsports and building really amazing street cars, track cars, and championship-winning race cars.
Thumbs up.
Oh, thumbs up! Yeah, I can forget this part too. Give us some thumbs up. We're simulcasting on YouTube. So what do we do for YouTube people? What do they do?
They subscribe and click the bell.
YouTube people, subscribe and click the bell.
You get notifications.
You get notifications. And for the Facebook people, like us, right? Thumbs up, and share it with your friends. If you have some friends that you think could gain some information, knowledge from what I share with you, and certainly share it with them.
And Impact Racing's on. Say hi to them.
Oh, Impact Racing is on today. Hello, Impact Racing. As you know, we work with Impact Racing. We have great restraints, gloves, helmets, and driving shoes. I tell people that when you start moving from novice towards intermediate, part of your what I call safety equipment, aside from a good helmet, is a good set of driving gloves and a good set of driving shoes. And it's a very good reason for that. Driving gloves, you're going to find that your hands will not get as tired, and you have better grip on the steering wheel because some of them the lead line, or they've got some compound in there that's kind of sticky that holds on to the steering wheel. So it'll give you a much better feel, and your hands aren't going to get tired, especially if it's a long, hot weekend. And driving shoes, and I call them dancing shoes, because really your footwork is pretty important. It's almost like a ballet, okay? Getting the right footwork down and having driving shoes which have a really thin sole. You want to feel the accelerator, you want to feel the clutch, you want to feel the brake, and that is feedback. When you're driving, all these feedbacks enter in. You're looking for all this feedback to help you drive better, and having through your feet, that's really important. Getting better touch through your feet, and then having your steering wheel. I did something wrong.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't do something wrong.
No, I'm just going to embarrass you a little bit. I think some of you out there have had a chance to drive with Kenny. And watch his handwork and his footwork in the car. It's amazing. If you haven't and you get a chance to meet him at a track, make sure you get in the car with him and watch how he drives that thing. It's just amazing. It's
a ballet.
Yeah, it is. It's just, you're so graceful.
Well, yeah, and it's just like in driving quickly, everything has to be smooth. Smooth is good, smooth is fast. Now, whether it's the steering wheel input in the steering wheel, you need to be smooth. The gas, you need to be smooth. The brake, you need to be smooth. The clutch, you need to be smooth. Shifting, need to be smooth. If you're smooth, things happen faster. I'll give you a good example. In Mid-Ohio is kind of a really technical track, and I've had a lot of people that I've been coaching, and they really struggle with Mid-Ohio. Really getting around, getting a hot lap. So I tell them, here's what you got to do. You got to slow down to go fast, and believe it or not, it works every time. If they start slowing themselves down to be smooth, it'll see they don't think they're going faster, but when they look at the stopwatch, holy cow, I went a whole lot faster. So smooth is good. And something else. Somebody asked me, was it last week or the week before? They saw a picture of me with my hands on the bottom of the steering wheel, and they said they like to drive with their hand on the top or up. And the reason for that is really simple. I can. By my driving style, I can drive all day long and not get tired. And part of the reason is, the steering wheel. The steering wheel obviously is a critical part. But an exercise I tell people to do is stand back here. Is take your hands like you got a pretend steering wheel and turn that steering wheel. And what you're going to find a whole series of using a whole series of muscles in your shoulders. And you just do that for a couple of minutes, and you start to feel fatigue. Now, if you grip the steering wheel, I grip it probably like at 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, somewhere in there, always below halfway. It's like if you do this, try this, you just go like this. There's no effort. You feel nothing on your muscles. There's just no effort to it at all. So that's why it's between your handwork and your footwork, and of course your eyes. Your eyes are part of it too. But that's the way, I can drive all day and give rides, charity rides all day long and don't get tired. Do we have any questions coming in?
Yeah, we have some questions. Are you finished?
Well, I think, let me go back to make sure I've hit everything in my cheat sheet that Gary prepares for me. Okay, I'm Kenny Brown. Yeah, I got that part in. We revealed the new jacking rails for the 550 cars. Talked about the right gear for a corner, sway bars, jacking rails, quick hitters from the Speed Therapy Society.
And we do have some questions coming in. So
Okay, we've got some questions coming in. Oh, a programming note. I learned that from watching TV. A programming note. Starting in September, Cars and Coffee moves to 10 a.m. on Saturdays. We thought that 10 a.m. might be better to kind of free up more of the day. So starting in September, 10 a.m. for Cars and Coffee, Eastern Standard Time. Also, next weekend for Labor Day weekend, there's going to be an encore presentation. I could use the weekend off because we've got some things going on. Besides, I can use the rest because I teach during the week. For those who don't know, I'm teaching the Speed Therapy Academy every week, and that's Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. And we have like guest speakers on Wednesday nights. So it's a pretty full category. I think next week after that, I need to get back to the front grip kit for S197s. Mm-hmm. I mean, we keep putting that off, and you need to know about the front grip kit. Now, the rear grip kit, I talk about a lot because that's the very first thing anybody should do with Mustang, add a rear grip kit. And again, we certainly sort of sell parts, but really what we provide is solutions. And the rear grip kit is a package. It's a system. Every single piece of the rear grip kit is engineered to work with every other piece for amazing transformation at the back of the car. And all you have to do is you look at the comments of people who install the rear grip kit, and they're just blown away by how good the car works. That's because it just changed all the geometry. Every single part, no matter what it is, has an impact on geometry, and it makes it better. And I've been a nut about geometry for years, and the people in the Speed Therapy Academy are really fortunate because we did an entire night on my geometry. And I shared geometry information with them that I don't share with anybody else. But they're also kind of like sworn to secrecy as part of some of the geometry because I do things that nobody else does. That's why my car just works so darn good. I think we'll do when we come back in 2 weeks, we'll do the front grip kit because again, it's a system. There's not as many components. There's the K-member, the control arms, and the bump steer kit. And then also, of course, the camber plates. But what the rear grip kit does the back of the car, the front grip kit does the front of the car. And by grip, I mean when you turn the wheel, the car turns. We had, I think, Wendy was installed a front grip kit, and she said she had to learn how to drive all over again because she usually would kind of turn into the corner and kind of wait for the car to sort of push a little bit and before it goes around the corner. And she said now she just turns in. I mean, the biggest issue we have with people when they first install the front grip kit, the turn in is so precise and so quick that they actually end up putting the wheel inside the curb. That's just how quick it turns. That's part of the whole philosophy of the AGS 4.0 is make the straightaways longer. You can do super late braking between the anti-dive in the front and the anti-squat in the back. And with that quick turn in, I mean, there's a really quick rotation. And because the roll centers are rebalanced back, down, front, up, you can get to the gas a lot sooner. Great launch off the corners. Exit speed is everything on a track.
Okay, speaking of Wendy, we're going to transition into questions. She has a couple. First of all, she just commented that the car feels like it pivots underneath me. That's good way. Wendy says the car feels like it pivots underneath it, and that's what the whole object of my the engineering of the geometry is to get that car to rotate quickly. Because the strength of Mustang is it's a drag car, straight line speed. So by doing all the anti-squat and anti-dive in the car, we can brake really, really late. So you can add like 3, 4, even more car lengths to the straightaway, length of the straightaway. As she said, the car pivots, so it's a really quick rotation, and then you get back to the gas. So it's kind of like I mitigate all the problems, and I support
the strengths of the Mustang platform.
Okay. And Wendy has a couple questions regarding what she's spoken about. She asked, what is the weight difference in the front? What is the weight difference from my trans from the TR3650 trans? And Brad did answer that, if you don't know it off the top of your head, the weight difference.
Weight between
her trans and the
Magnum?
Yeah. TR3650 trans. Oh, that's her trans. Okay. Yeah, the Magnum, sorry.
Okay, Brad answered up because I don't know that off the top of my head. So
yeah, Brad answered it. So.
Oh, thanks, Brad.
Okay. What was the weight difference between the trans you were discussing? That's the same thing, I think. I think she's asking the same thing there. Okay, here's another one regarding transmissions. Dave Robinson. Dave is from Niagara. He's on every single week from the Canadian side. So does Meg, and he's the one that brought you the
the video?
Yeah. Okay, Dave Robinson says, does the Magnum XL fit behind the 3.7 V6 in a S197? A simple swap, that is. Just about anything will fit, he knows that, but is it a simple swap?
I don't know the answer for that, but I'll do some research and find out. I mean, I would think that the just the way Ford works, the bell housing would bolt to the V6, about the same bolt to the V8. I don't know an answer. I'll find out for you, and we'll let you know.
Okay, and Larry Martin asks, corner weights for Fox Body. How do you adjust the weight compared to the rake?
Oh, that's a good question. Adjust the weight compared to the rake. Now, here's what happens. When you're doing like corner weights, you're going to start out with whatever ride height you choose, and typically for track day cars, you want to be like 1 or 2 fingers above the tires. And most tires we use like 26 inch diameter, so you want to be in that say 26 and a half to 27 and a quarter range. And you just stand back and look at it, see if it's right. And for like the live axle cars, I'll typically run about a 1/2 inch rake to the back, not much more than that, and that's with the driver and 1/2 tank of gas. And so you asking the questions of corner weight and rake. Okay, so you get the car set up like that, then you go to your corner weights, okay, and you start moving weight around. And it's if you're don't do it every day, it can be really frustrating, because you adjust something, what you think it's going to do does the opposite. So, but once you start doing your corner weights and you get the corner weights adjusted, you're going to find out that you've got a different ride height on every wheel, just simply because you're moving the shocks up and down to get your corner weights right. So, I mean, you start out with a 1/4 to 1/2 inch rake in the back, and then you just do the corner weights, and it'll be different by the time you're done. But you still probably end up with a little rake in the back. When we do corner weights on a Mustang, the right rear corner is always the lightest corner, which is why when we move the battery to the back, we always put it in the trunk in the right rear. Okay?
Okay, that's good. Also, Joe Johnson is asking who the guest speakers this Wednesday, but last week, who do we have? We had Ben O'Connor from Impact, who was also our mini masterclass.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, which was excellent. And now who is coming this next week in the Academy? Speed Therapy Academy.
Speed Therapy Academy. Our guest speaker on Wednesday is
Doug Vandenbrink.
Doug Vandenbrink. He's going to be his driver coaching. Doug is a cool guy. We've known him for years. We met him a long time ago when we helped him with some parts for his drift car. He's nicknamed Drifter Doug. That's how I remember who it is. Anyway, he's a really accomplished driver. He's driven sports cars, IMSA, Trans Am, NASCAR, and most importantly, his main job right now is he's the number 2 instructor at the Porsche driving experience at Barber, I think it is. So, I mean, this is a guy that really knows how to drive. So he's going to be sharing some driving techniques in as the guest speaker Wednesday in the Speed Therapy Academy.
Yeah, and Speed Therapy Academy, it's a 12-week course, and we do every other week do a master class with a full master class. What you're getting in Cars and Coffee is a mini master class. So I think Doug will be joining the Cars and Coffee eventually too. But it was really a cool session with Impact, and
I mean, I learned a lot of things about restraints I never knew.
So it was really good course. Let's see, we have another question, and this one is from, and I know I'm going to butcher your name, Michael, and you have it spelled out correctly, but Michael Galbraith, he is also Scottish.
Oh,
Yeah, and you had a 15-minute with him as well. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, he's asking, he's going to be moving to Pennsylvania. Is there any good, back to NEPA, so that's northern Pennsylvania. Is there any good tracks in that area that he should look for next year?
Okay, I mean, I haven't gotten that far east. I know there's a pretty good track in Pittsburgh somewhere. And outside of that, I mean, I'll do a little research and see if I can come up with something. I know there's a good one in the Pittsburgh area. And I'm actually from Pennsylvania, as luck would have it. I grew up outside of Philadelphia. So, yay, Pennsylvania.
That's pretty cool. And then we're going to put, Michael also has a comment about, he was quite involved with your T56 conversation. He said he's also owned a manual car, and the MT82 is clunky, kind of difficult to guess which gear you're going into, and sometimes it grinds at fifth gear. Seems like there might be a third gear lockout, too similar to the lockout in the C6 Corvette.
I don't think so. I think what it is, if you haven't changed the shifter, it's the body and the transmission moving in two different directions when you go to shift. I mean, I just hate the factory transmissions. I mean, every time I drive a car, a factory transmission, and carries with me, she hears me swearing at it, because the thing you notice is the thing I notice. Sometimes you have no idea what gear it is or how to get to it. So yeah, I feel your pain.
Okay, and this is another question. If you have any additional questions, let's get them out there right now, please. We have 5 minutes left. Penny's time. Rich O'Meara asked, is Doug the one machining the IRS billet uprights?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the one that, for his drift cars, he's machining the billet uprights for the IRS.
And we're probably easier to get in touch with than him, so we'll give you the contact and all that information. So Brian West recommends Pocono as a track in Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, that's another good track. Yeah, I blew all my engines up in Pocono.
Do you see all the comments of the people who are joining? You can just
go comments.
Yeah, see how the people, there's Cliff Glidden there, Dave Robinson, Cool Hand Luke, Rich Fowler. So any more questions? Okay, well, you might want to just tell them at 10 o'clock next.
Okay, I'll repeat the program notice. I forgot what it was.
Do you need me to do it?
No, the programming. A programming change is starting next week, and from there on out in September, we're going to be at 10 a.m. Saturday mornings. And next week is going to be an encore presentation for Labor Weekend. We figured everybody has a lot to do. I've got a lot to do. So we're going to just do an encore. And then following week, I'm going to talk more about the front grip kit and how it relates to the rear grip kit, because we keep pushing that off.
And I think people that don't have an S197, he also offers, when he talks for the new people, he also talks about a Fox SM95 and S550 along with it, because a lot of the geometry applies to that. Yeah, well,
mostly because actually the SN95, we launched the AGS, that's Advanced Geometry Suspension System. Remember, everything I do is a system, it's not a part, it's a system, and the system is a solution. We introduced AGS 3.0 front suspension at SEMA in 2001, and that's our K-member and control arms, and our Caster Plus that gives you great geometry. And then we also introduced at SEMA that year AGS 3.5, which is for the rear of the car. That's for the IRS car, where we we really specialize in IRS at Mustangs, the 99 to 04. Simply because in my early years I ran a lot of open wheel cars in SCCA, Formula Fords, Formula Atlantic, Super V's. And even like Tramps, Spitfires, and all the TRs had IRS in the back. So when the Mustang came out with an IRS in '99, it's like, okay, cool, IRS. I know all about these. But most of the Mustang market just went nuts, because they're all drag racers, and they just didn't know how to deal with the IRS. So from that point on, like I said, we really specialize in the IRS. We have a full range of parts, including a complete geometry change for the IRS carrier. And we convert to coilover, which gives you better choice of spring rates, and we got great shocks. We've custom built And then I talk about locking down the IRS and the 550 cars by using these little aluminum rings that go inside the rubber bushings. On the IRS for the 99 to 04s, we really lock it down. There's this big clunky sort of mounting thing in the back that the carrier mounts to this clunky thing. The clunky thing mounts to the frame rail. We whack it off. We whack it off and then put a bracket that bolts right to the frame rail and back. So we don't even have to change the front bushings. A lot of people put like urethane in the IRS carriers, which if you've ever tried to get rubber bushings out to put urethane in, you know it's not a fun job. So rather than that, we just lock down the back bolt solid the frame rail, which means you don't have to do anything to the front. It works really good. All the geometry changed. It produces an amazing handling car. Carrie's wandering around looking for something.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I think that's it.
So if
10 o'clock?
that's it, 10 o'clock next week, and
Easter
the week
Sunday.
after, we're going to talk about the front grip kit. And please, send in your questions, because I craft these Saturday morning episodes around questions, because I talk about what you want to learn about. So send your questions in to the Speed Therapy Society. If you're not a member, please join. It's an awesome group of guys and gals. I mean, it's great. There's some really good information sharing. It's cool cars in there. I highly recommend it. And invite your friends. The more the merrier. And I heard nodding your head.
No, just you.
Okay, thumbs up. Yeah, do the thumbs up thing. So,
we're good.
And on Facebook, it's the wrenches sort of got hot and melted. So the wrenches, put wrenches in there, actually kind of look like hearts, which is silly. It should be a wrench. Don't forget to do those. They float up. I can't see them when we do StreamYard. I can't see.
No, I know you can. There's been a lot of wrenches and thumbs up. So
yeah, a lot of
and the YouTube
melted wrenches.
people.
And the YouTube people. Remember the bell? The bell on YouTube. If you want to get notifications.
But what does the bell do?
The bell gets you notifications.
Yes.
Got that right.
Okay.
So, listen, I really appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Like I say, next week, 10 o'clock, and every week thereafter, encore presentation over Labor Day weekend, and we'll follow up the next week with front grip kit, how the front grip kit works, and, of course, questions. Send me in the questions. I do best when I'm answering questions. So, with that, we really appreciate you guys being here. Sorry we're a little bit late this morning. We had some technical difficulties, and my mouse isn't working.
I'll end the broadcast. Say goodbye.
Carrie,
Say goodbye, Ken.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate you guys showing up.